Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What contains sensorality? Sensodorality contains sensorality. Sensorality is smell. And so that is where we start. We're getting closer. Again, when we axiomatize, when we show this spelling as a consequence of a geometric progression, that is when we're back in the world of an axiom. And so what is the most fundamental empirical axiom or generalization that we can say about everything, right? All physical systems are seeking maximum efficiency, right? Starting with an orbit, just something simple. Well, I guess everything is simple, but the orbit of Jupiter, right? And pointing out some detail here, right? I am using language. I am a sentient being. I am talking. All of our language is personified. And so I said the tendency to seek maximum efficiency. And so, right, Jupiter's not seeking to do anything. It just exists. And so we have this personification that is bounded within our framework of logic, which the most fundamental is it is what it is. You can never break that form. And so all physical systems seek maximum efficiency. And so we're showing this unique consequence. What is a sensor throughout language? Which is an emergent system from physics. And so really just again highlighting or putting at the forefront as an empirical fact, even more so than what would be called a mathematical axiom, is that physical systems are seeking maximum efficiency, but to actually articulate that, again, existence isn't seeking to do anything, right? It's serendipitous, it just exists. And so but from our orbit of Jupiter, seeking maximum efficiency, to you, the viewer, right now. Right? What are you doing at any point in your day? What is anybody doing at any point in their day? Right? They're seeking maximum efficiency of something, of some goal, of some objective, of some progression of something. And so what do we have for again, that's the physical empirical fact. We have to use language to describe that, but that should be overwhelmingly empirically true. And so now what's the logical containment? What association of meaning to sound do we have to represent that maximum efficiency is equilibrium? Right? What is equality to equilibrium? Is really the logical dichotomy pairing what is called mathematics to what is called physics. Equilibrium being physically conceptualized, and then equality meaning all equations, this equals that, which is just a differentiation of identity, right? It is what it is. And so equality to equilibrium is really the going from the physics of the actual empirical things to the logical framework, which we're already bounded by again, we've been talking for about 2 minutes now or whatever, that we can never break at any point. We all exist in this world with this fundamental stability of two, and all of our logic, all of our words, all of our articulation has these internal properties that we can't reduce. And so we're progressing through our analysis, and again, we're forcing some sort of logical out of bounds. And so when we have this kind of question, we have this identity, the difference between E and A is I. How and when do we really apply that? It's already manifested in our language, and we clearly have all of these forms like real, teal, seal, deal, meal, or it's just this EA. So we have some form of contraction where we've removed that I. We've articulated explicitly throughout this derivation, moving this I in and out of words. It's really just tracking one chronological consequence that we can present as linguistics, as a unique sequence of geometry that are letters. And so when we have this identity, or we have these word forms where it's like, right, this doesn't really generalize, right, language is already differentiated, that's what we're showing, is like we're rooting logic. And so, and then this fundamental stability of two is complete. Right? The differentiation, the endless differentiation, the speciation, what is special, that's our big axiomatic progression from when speciality was axiomatized, we've now gone from infinite uniqueness to endless differentiation, and that is physically bounded by, again, not the minimum, but the maximum, how many different ways can you be different? All right, that's endless differentiation. But these word forms, when we have clear conceptualizations, something, and then we're just generalizing it, and we say ality. Again, quality is equality. And so we don't have, like, again, this linguistics is bounded. And so that's how we force, or we show directly, this logical out of bounds, right? Tension and dimension aren't really words. Tension is an iteration of sension, right? When you sense tension, that's sension, right? It's not sensual. It doesn't make sense. It's discordant. It's dissonant, like literally, fundamentally, physically. And so we can force this logical out of bounds where the conceptualization is clear, and then we just say this ality, but we force linguistics remainder, this openness of completing sensorality. What is a sensor? Just the irreducibility, sensor. The proof is the geometric consequence, the spelling. And then what is it conceptually? Again, the essence, the quality of being a sensor, sensorality. And we're just showing this iteration and exhausting explicitly the consequences of those syllables, right? It has to be consistent with all previous ontology and all future ontology. But frankly, at my level of derivation, that's inconsequential, or it has to be. Like, we would not be able to sit down and making these steps if that was not already possible, because we're deriving, right? We're going to something that is definitive, already present in the more general structure of the consolidation of scientific literature. Right, everyone coming around saying, this is physics, this is math, oh, I'm Albert Einstein, oh, I'm Charles Darwin, oh, I'm Emily Noether. Those are all people that consolidated information. Then we have this broader context, ontology, how we talk about all things, and that's what we're reducing. That's what we already have reduced. Speciality is special with an ITY. And so we're moving through our derivation steps. Again, I had to delete a profound amount of research yesterday, which is causing me profound and extensive stress. How do you do scholarship? If sitting down as an expert, as a colleague, as somebody that's educated in a field of study, and reading a book, highlighting what you agree with, what's strong, what's weak, how else do you do scholarship? But again, not going to spend any more time on it. It's documented, and you guys destroyed a bunch of my research. Thank you once again. But moving through our derivation steps. So, all right, sensorality is smell, sensodorality contains sensorality. Sensodorality is smellability. What is smellability to syllability? Again, emphasizing the elementality. Again, if it's rhyming, again, Eric Weinstein's criminal, not in any way joking. If it rhymes, it's wrong. Again, a direct theorem or a direct form of something of logic that is true that would not have been present in Eric Weinstein's head if he didn't directly steal from me. But just, again, profoundly disgusting. But you can hear the rhyming. Smellability, syllability. So smell has conceptualization. Both of these have conceptualizations. Both of these have syllables. But one of the words is literally syllability, the ability to be a syllable. But now we have, again, geometric consistency, right? Smellability has that L-A-B, or L ability, and then syllability has that L in ability. And so we have geometric consistency and moving along. Sensorality contains sense. Odorality contains orality. Kind of separating, again, we're showing these roots. Generalization, derivation to definitiveness is separation, is distinctness. Showing our prime factors, our prime syllables of sensorality. Again, it's just the overall analytical process of linguistics has just never been demonstrated. And it's truly, I'm just bumping up against things where it's just very literally like, hey, addition, still addition. And we live in a society where people have never done science before. It's weird. It's profoundly illegal. It's profoundly illegal, and it's extremely detrimental. But sensorality contains sense, odorality contains orality. What is sound to odor? Does odor make sound? Does sound have odor? Is cost caustic? So again, just emphasizing, you hear those questions, it has some sort of conceptualization, makes you think, but that right there is the empirical evidence. It's not a consistent question, right? We're getting close, but again, we're just learning a vocab word. And so there's nothing to like figure out. There's right answers in logic. There's right answers in math class. Words have meaning. What is sensorality? We're just deriving it. And it's going to be some form of filtration for sure, I think. Again, that's still our big conjecture. But again, with this demonstration of completion of analysis, again, you get the word form, you get the over quality of the proof. Again, sensor, microwave versus me, C versus S. And we're just showing this as a direct geometric progression. And so, is cost caustic? Sensorality is a retro sensor. Direct iteration, natural definition. Again, that one just retro, just again the double R and the placement of the E is just a direct iteration of sensor. What is feeling to smelling? Accommodation, amenity. Sensorality amenitizes. Again, through my over email derivation, again, if that's not been destroyed, at this point I just want to say with the gaslighting and with not acknowledging my rights, I'm assuming just all of my properties destroyed. You would think that if you were the most accomplished scientist ever, you would have that awareness, but again, when you live in an environment that I do, I have no awareness that anything that I've done has been preserved, and I just want my state to treat that as the most severe crime ever. Right? The burning of the Library of Alexandria is nothing compared to what happened yesterday, what has happened to my physical copies, and people are just so privileged. Where just again, I turn on the news, I turn on TV channels, I see the sentiment. People just feel like it's just like, oh, ha, 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 ha. Like people are not mature enough to take things seriously. I do not have the direct awareness that my writings and discoveries are being preserved in any meaningful sense, and it is profound financial detriment, profound health detriment, and profound historical detriment. But if my emails are preserved, you'll see again just dichotomistic pairs. I'll just say accommodation, amenity, and that's literally just it. That the conceptualization. If you speak English, if you understand what I've said, that's just what's in your head. It's just a juxtaposition of dichotomy, this word versus that word. And then we take our variable, our undefined chunk of syllability, sensorality, amenitizes. Natural definition. Sensorality is amenitality, natural definition. What is mode to accommodation? Sensorality is moral odor. What does good smell like? Smells funny. Doesn't smell good. Sensorality is an air of righteousness. What is air to aura? Right? He has an air about him. What is air to arrogance? What is gauging to grouping? Is smellability a liability? Right? Again, more so emphasizing now we've gone from smellability, that now liability is that lability, but we just iterated with the I. Sensorality is the liability of smell. Natural definition, direct iteration. So steps like that again. We've built this ability, it is what it is, ility, ality, ability, liability is not well defined legal, or it is well conceptualized legally. We've built up this whole linguistic construction. And so, again, emphasizing the smellability to liability has that I in there. And this I is stabilizing something. Again, from this identity, the difference between E and A is I. What is smellability to smileability? I have that hyphenated. Again, where do we put this I? Does it make sense? How do we apply this identity? Again, we're integrating to the total differential of linguistics to derive and stabilize sensorality. Sensorality is smileability, natural definition. And I have the I in there if you're just listening. What is smile to smell? Emphasizing the word forms. What is odor worth? Direct iteration. Let's go ask Giorgio Armani, our eau de parfum. I think I'll make a joke on that later. Like literally in writing. Does odor have value? Sensorality is the value of odor. I think I just said that. It doesn't matter. What is liability to worth? What is liability to value? Are venues venerable? Direct iteration. What is exoneration to veneration? Sensorality exonerates. What is exoneration to amnesty? What is amnesty to amenity? Ha, Professor Carroll, there's not a lot of amenities where you're going, brother. And now it's just, again, Penguin Random House. Everybody associated with academia through that publishing clearinghouse, or I keep saying clearinghouse, but publishing house. Again, if you're a part of academia, how do you do scholarship if it's not what I'm doing? Again, where's the plot? Where's this plot we're supposed to be following? Be educated so we can contribute to society. Okay, yeah, just fuck everybody. What is amnesty to invincibility? What is amnesty to immunity? Are syllables invincible? Again, emphasizing irreducibility is invincible. Is smelly a label? Smellable. I just have that in parentheses. Sensorality is smellable. So again, emphasizing this overall analytical process, formalizing this into the most, again, direct, followable, understandable, comprehensible proof ever is another step, right? Oh, I'm the quirky math guy that has all the equations and I can't articulate my thoughts. It's like, no, I know how all of language works and I can demonstrate it, and we're doing it in the most poignant way possible. Can I at least preserve my writings and discoveries? Nope. Sensorality is smellable. Sensorality labels smell, natural definition. Again, label is this direct iteration. We've gone through that explicitly, not going to rederive it. Sensorality labels love, natural definition, direct iteration. Right, fellas? Do we have to put a label on it? Do we have to put a label on it, ladies? I wouldn't know. I'll never have a wife. I don't have constitutional rights. Shout out to our great governor for standing up. The buck stops with me, standing up and fighting for all Ohioans. I guess I'm just a mirage. I'm a figment of everyone's imagination. I'm an illusion. I'm in a quantum many position super world. Anyway, back to science. What is odor to inhalation? Is inhalation sensation? All right, you have to be able to inhale to smell. What is odor to inhalation? What is inhalation to inhabitation? What is inclination to inhalation? So again, if you see my just derivation of speciality or just more of my writing, all of these what is, all of those dichotomistic pairs, you can take any of those word forms and pair them up to however sounds fun, and that's just what I'm doing here. What is inhalation to hallucination? Oh, so that's another good point to my estate. Sue them, everybody, for, again, not allowing me to articulate and vocalize, again, my own proof. Because once again, you can clearly see that there's so much of it, I have nowhere to put it, my whole entire YouTube channel gets starting to take down, and there's no YouTube alternative. I have the files backed up, but like there's no place else to put it. I mean, this is just such a severe, this is no different if somebody walked into your brick and mortar store, stuck it up with an armed robbery and took everything you had and said, go fuck yourself. I mean, that is how severe this is. Penguin Random House Publishing. But again, no one cares. There's no way of recourse. There's no way to protect your property. There's no way to live your life. There's no way to speak freely about science, which is your constitutional protected right to publish your writings and discoveries. And people have a visceral reaction to what is right. 1 + 1 = 2. Rhythm and vibration describe motion, and it is definitely not in physics anywhere. And here it is. No one cares. But to any of those pairings of words, you can just, what is this to that? What is any form of that word to anything else, right? You can say something. What is inhalation to hallucination? Do hallucinations inhale? Right? You can just formalize that in any way you want. Because again, this irreducible base conceptualization to this linguistic word form and this sound is what we're juxtaposing, the dichotomy we're eliciting. Sensorality hallucinates. Hallucination is delusional. Oh, dude, I'm Stephen Hawking, bro. Hawking radiation. What's inside a wormhole, dude? It's dark energy of the black hole. Nope, it's rhythm. We have to say rhythm in fundamental ontology, and the limit of that is vibration. And vibration, we almost said it, good vibes. Generosity is good vibes. Energy is dependent on good vibes because it's the same thing. All right, what's vibration to energy, guys? Oh yeah, it's the photons. Oh shit, there's photons. Oh, we're trying to model things without form as particles. That makes no sense. But now it's been proven wrong for 10 years. Haha, but people don't know what proof is. And we're all criminals, so no one cares. Awesome. But that is what hallucination is. That is what delusion is. Thinking dark energy is something, not, hey, we're a species, a part of a social group, of a social phenomenon, just clamoring one after another and trying to progress our careers. And now we're saying shit that makes no sense. And I can turn on Lex Friedman and Don Lincoln, like literally scrolling to just a random section. I don't follow any of this shit anymore. And it's just like, Lex is like, a vacuum is empty space, Don. Tell us how, how empty space isn't actually empty space. We're like, it is not what it is. It isn't what it is, right? Red is not blue. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. Empty space isn't empty space. Didn't you hear Lex Friedman and Don Lincoln? And Don Lincoln's up there expressing how he was tried hard in the academic community. Those theorists, they're not grounded in reality. And Don Lincoln's going to bring the common sense, that is form of logic stolen from Brad, proven, again, protected by the Constitution, but he's going to disseminate that over Lex Friedman's great podcast, where Lex Friedman has a great, just a steward of truth. He is just a pillar and a pile of people lying, and he's the one that's going to tell the truth. And then I can show you like 10 clips of it. Lex Friedman definitely directly laughing with Eric Weinstein. Maybe we should, and then Eric goes, oh, we'll go to jail. Directly talking about Brad, and Lex is like, oh no, I definitely wasn't thinking about doing the right thing. But Eric was so flabbergasted, he's like, oh, I can't do the right thing. Oh, yeah, I'm a person that follows the Pentateuch and the Jewish tradition, and it says do not follow false authorities like the first thing, and it's like, oh, Eric Weinstein, just a big fucking hypocrite, a part of the weirdest Peter Thiel environment ever. And then I can show you another clip of Eric Weinstein saying, good science will change your life. And I'm like, Eric, do you realize you're a savage, brother? That's what was there to change in the first place, my guy. Because even if you don't know what you're doing, you're a part of a society where behavior's mandated by culture. And this, well, we're in the business world. We're in the real world, people. People die every day. If somebody goes, well, it is what it is, right, Eric? And so that's kind of the realizations you had about yourself, is that you, Eric, thought you were smart, and well, how's that going today, brother? But again, that is what delusion is. Just go ask anybody in academia. Now, again, if they're not, once they stop lying about everything, what the fuck was string theory, dude? What the fuck was any of this shit? Why don't we say rhythm was a physical principle, which it clearly is, because everyone blurts it out every 2 seconds. Huh. Yeah, we're just going to let that sit for a second. Homework assignment. Before we go raise another $50 million for a research grant, let's just ask every theorist that. And Don Lincoln, all of our experimentalists. Because everyone, again, is just a pathetic individual, a part of a society that doesn't know how to behave. Because age is just a number. But that is what delusion is. What is hallucination to imagination? Oh no, I'm going to be the next theorist. I'm Peter Schultz. It's the perfectoid spaces. It's Emily Rial. It's the como homo topo typo theories. Yep, big breakthrough. Still not rhythm, which is definitely it. Still not vibration, which you can't avoid in fundamental ontology. Again, we're doing physics, logic, which you've never really seen at a real level, linguistics, which you've never really seen ever, and mathematics, which you kind of say the right word sometimes, but you don't realize that it says thematics right there. That's a peculiar one. Is misogyny a syllogism? Emphasizing the word forms, the progression of the Y and the G. Fundamental theorem of linguistics, syllables are syllogistic. A is B, B is C, that is our fundamental stability of 2. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, that direct iteration. We're showing a unique chronological consequence, conceptualization to definitive linguistics, which is a complete proof. But the overall logical function of syllables is they're irreducible and they're assigned to meaning, and that meaning has a direct chronology to it. Right? There's one chronology to conceptualization. Realization is not unique. Right? I grew up and I had to learn how to control my sphincter, and then to shave my head, and then to do all of the other basic grooming activities humans do. It's like you realize the same things, and that we're bounded by not die, reproduce, and think. Syllables are syllogistic. Sensorality is syllogisticality. Orality is the gist of sensorality. How are syllables verbalized? Sensoderability familiarizes smell. Writing and pronunciation, familiarize. Something like that. Sensorality arises. Emergence arises. How does demise arise? Sensorality surmises. Are suppositions surmised? It's one of those words where it's like, if anyone says they're surmising something, it's like, nah, you're dork level 5,000. Calm down, Steven. Sensorality describes odor. Smells like shit. Oh, Professor Carroll's back. Natural definition. What is detection to description? Sensorality is prescription description. Do drugs have odors? Is odor loud? You bet it is. Is loud sharp? Sensorality smells sharp. And I have sharp cheddar, cheese, fromage, du fromage. Again, if my weed can be loud, can it be sharp? It's not flat. My decarbonization, deodorization, decarbed drink, when I pop the top on my Dr. Pepper and it decarboxylates, just like when I heat up my weed to make edibles. Yeah. Sensorality smells sharp. Sensorality is sharpening. Sensorality harpens to the fact. Harpening fastens. Pop quiz. I don't assign quizzes much, but if you're watching this, can you name the chemical decomposition of decarboxylation? Can I do it? It's definitely one carbon. I think it's 2 parts oxygen, 1 part hydrogen. I'm going to quiz myself and answer my own quiz. Decarboxylation. Carboxylation. I'm going C, one carbon, 2 oxygens, 1 hydrogen. COOH. I don't know, we'll see. I'll put it on the editing if I got it right. What is fastening to fashioning? What is fashioning to siphoning? What is siphoning to phoning? Sensorality hones. And another just overall logical point, again, the form of all, again, would you call it organic chemistry? But just like the naming of molecules, it can just very clearly shows this fundamental stability, like the enes, the ENEs versus the, again, I don't remember directly immediately, but it's already in this geometric form. It's one of those things where it's like geometric linguistics. It's like, oh yeah, this whole chunk of ontology is already, organic chemistry is already like directly literal to all of these fundamental things, because you can't break this stuff. Like when language forms, this is just already inherent. The properties are contained within trying to articulate any sort of sequence of order, any logic, anything with meaning. But sensorality hones, like I'm gonna hone in. Sensorality hones homes, like I'm H.I. Holmes, but I'm not. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is smell mellow? Is smell yellow? Sensorality is mellow yellow. Trademark, again, that is yep, we hit a direct brand. But it is true. Again, for whatever reason, I've articulated this throughout my emails as well. When I was a kid, I would always say my favorite color is yellow. And it's definitely like, it's just like one of those questions, like your parents ask you, like, what do you want to be when you're a kid? You just like say doctor, because that's like what you're expected to say. Which again, yeah, it's the reputation destruction. It's like my whole life's ruined. Thanks, guys. Thanks, academia. But yellow was definitely like an empirical reaction. Because again, historically, I've been doing this derivation my whole life, and I've also been like instinctually just acting like it's not real, because like, society is like fucking weird as shit, man. And you can't like, you can't like talk to people that can't listen, and everyone's just like in their own fucking world or some shit. But yellow was definitely just like, I would say yellow is my favorite color, and it was definitely just like a, why does yellow, whether it's the word, whether it's the actual physical phenomenon, but again, colors are reflections of structure. Right? Mass moves, mass has structure, we have radiation field, and that mass moving, like that's why your colors like are the same under any amount of light, just your ability to resolve them with when you turn this thing on and off. But again, we should get to some further resolutions. All of the conceptualizations are resolved in speciality, and they're not going to change. Right? Again, this is the performance aspect of Brad doing all of science, again, independently from first principle, isn't necessary. And there's actually nothing else to do once you do it the first time. But we're moving along. But just emphasizing the conceptualizations are already resolved. The actual linguistic reduction is inevitable, and it's just limited by time passing. But sensorality is mellow yellow. Mellow meditates. Mellow mediates. Sensorality is mellow ability. Natural definition. Mellow ability chills out. Chilling out calms down. Cut to when the body cam footage of the police officers coming to my house after my neighbors threatened to kill me, and I'm just trying to report crime, and they all in unison roar, "Who are you telling to calm down?" Now cut to the scene of when the three people were not, are they people? Walking to the van when I'm at HQ Flats and there's a purple van, and then I think in my head, "Can you hear me?" And then they all scream in unison, "Yes, of course we can." And then cut to another scene where there's, I think this was on 60 Minutes, and it was like a famous rocker's wife, and she was literally thinking about me, and it's like, when you hear his voice, it's loud. She goes, "It's loud, it's changing." Because, oh, you hear these people sing, and then you hear my vocal quality, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm also a virtuoso at singing. And I'm presenting the most formalized logic ever. So that's like another gold star for Brad's presentation. Nice. Can I have some money, please? But to those officers, right, I wasn't telling anybody to calm down, it's just your overall presentation was just completely unacceptable, as we can see on that body cam. Now cut to, again, the intelligence agencies watching everything I do, and show my neighbor just running onto my property saying, "I'm gonna fuck you up, motherfucker." And I'm just sitting there like, "What, me?" And he's like, "Yeah, you motherfucker." And I'm like, genuinely just like, what is going on? It is what it is. There's the evidence. If it's not, it's historical destruction of evidence. No different if you walked into a police department and just went to the evidence locker and just tore everything down. That's what deleting my videos are, in real time, causing me profound duress, where all of this crime is documented, and I had to delete over 100 videos yesterday. Awesome. Sweet. But I'm pretty calm. I'm pretty chill. Again, once you get brutally T-word your whole life, it's just like, stay alive and just write down as much as you can, actually, literally. Sensorality keeps calm and carries on. Sensorality carries. Orality carries. Your voice is loud. Oh, you mean my voice carries. He doesn't need a microphone. Cut to that clip, or all of my old videos where, again, I can just synchronize my vocal quality to the microphone of the camera, which I can literally feel. Nice, but remember, your physical feelings aren't physical because they're, I don't know, emotions are not a direct extension of motion with a base E. Oh wait, it is. But again, when you live in a land of delusion, like dark energy, super quasar colliders, basic, immediate, empirical evidence doesn't count. Nice. Does care carry? Right? Another direct extension, it's cool to care. Direct title of language litigation integration, one of the first parts. It's cool to care about consent. That's liability. Treat others the way you want to be treated. An eye for an eye. Again, I'm already blind. Cast the first stone, I can duck. Awesome. What is circularity to carryality? Generalizing the word carry. Sensorality is carryality. What is carriage to marriage? Sensorality carries over. Fundamental theorem of mathematics. A remainder is a carryover. Right? Everything is still defined in slang. Logically, nobody has understood what general relativity really means. The serendipity of this random assignment of sound to meaning, and then you live in a world where it gets disseminated really fast, and it's not really hard to learn another language if you try. It's all just a big amalgamation, and it's all independent, discrete meanings, and then there's the progression. Nobody talks about that many unique things. But a remainder is a carryover. What is recollection to reminding? But again, slang is getting close to this logical out of bounds where we can show this. This is why this word is a word, because this form is not a word. And again, sensorality is not a word. It's undefined syllability used to prove this irreducibility that's already present that has destroyed my whole life by, again, people not functionally understanding that you're already functioning on this. And then when you demonstrate the form of language to people in person, they think you're like condescending to them, and they definitely don't know what you're doing. Awesome, thank you for destroying my life. And you go watch movies. Be the really smart guy. We're Good Will Hunting. Go watch the movie Gifted. No, people just T-word you the entire time. What is recollection to reminding? And again, whenever I say the word remember, right, the conceptualization's clear, but I'm a member somewhere. Am I, right? What is remember to member? We've done that directly, but recollection to reminding. Is a censor a collector? A collector is the opposite of a dispenser. Emphasizing we made that differentiation, orality versus mentality, but we're just showing some sort of definitiveness by forming this logical progression. Sensorality is a censor. And now you'll see the spelling on the screen. And before we've said that's not a word, and it's still not a word, but it's a step, of this assignment, because of this general relativity, because of this structure we have formed. And so that's a does not exist, but it's a direct step. If that makes sense. Sensorality is tensor. So now we take that S, we directly iterate it. Well, now we have a complete word, tense, and the R is just acting as a linguistic element for consonants. And you may say, Brad, that's not true. You just made that up. Nobody would believe that. No one would ever. That form of logic is not present anywhere. You just put two hyphens around an R, like Toys R Us. Nice. But again, emphasizing that's what I did there. This form of logic, and everyone functions on this. So where does Toys R Us, right? Again, the R is representing the verb to be, plural, R. But it's still that R hyphen, one letter hyphen. Brad, you can't generalize that. QRST, France, President Macaroni, right? We have to carry over our T somehow. It's the direct same form. So sensorality is a tensor. The word tense and then just the letter R. Sensorality is tensorality. Tense is on edge. What is a tensor to a denser? Sensorality is dense-R-ality. Again, just like Toys R Us. What is dense to send hyphen E? And so again, as we get to this final reduction, we're showing this out of bounds, and that shows why a word is a word, and it just demonstrates this irreducibility. And so again, the word dense iterated, again, change the elemental slot of S and D, and then you just have this leftover term, the base E, right? So we can kind of remove that. Dense, what is dense to send E? And I'm feeling pretty sendy, bro. Toi, deux, send it! But again, this functionality overall, again, is this preservation of this base E iterating throughout language. Again, there's some element or aspect of irreducibility to the syllables, which is the structure of sound, represented by single letters, sometimes more than one letter, and then that order producing an irreducible word. And we're showing that process completely. Is odor dense? Odor is pungent. Is density pungent? Agent, pungent. What is pungent to poignant? Is malignant poignant? Sensorality is a ligament. Sensorality seeks. And so that was what we kind of led off with. Again, our inanimate objects, they don't seek to do anything, but all of our logic is articulated with personification. Right? People articulate logic. Individuals articulate logic. Sentience articulates sense. Sensorality seeks. Sensorality is sought. Natural definition. Demand is highly sought after. And then again, I get velocity here. Another highlighting, again, what is momentum? Mass times velocity. Velocity is rapid movement. Watch the stock market for one time. Anytime somebody says momentum, right? They're talking about the rapidity of movement, how quick something is changing, right? They're not calling slow sectors the momentum sector, right? Is the mass changing in a liquid market where it's just digital dollars, right? Is that mass moving? No, it's a rapid movement of the stock price. And so demand is highly sought after, velocity is highly sought after. Color is pigment. Sensorality is pigmentation. Sensorality neutralizes odor. Deodorality is neutrality. And deodorization is neutralization, directly, conceptually, consistently. If you spray an air freshener because you just took a big old shit, oh, you're not covering up the smell, Bill, you're just masking it. It just smells like shit with flowers covered over it. Right? But deodorization is neutralization, or at least attempting to be, right? Glade, Glad, the brand, which the word form is also another fundamental geometric reduction directly, immediately. Right? Are you neutralizing odor or are you just masking it? Right? We don't mask odor. It's one of the, again, one of the marketing things of one of these companies. But sensorality is neutrality. Right? Neutrality is undifferentiated. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is neutrality to differentiation? Sense is specific, sense specifies. What is odor to pressure? Deodorize, pressurize. Sensorality is the ability to odorize. Sensorality filters odor. And so, where did we start? Equilibrium. What is odor to equilibrium? Sensorality equilibrates odor. Again, we're just making content for this progression. Learning a vocab word is learning a vocab word. And so, trying to put some character to it, again, living under profound and extensive duress. To anybody out there, a part of academia, who is directly stealing my research, like how the fuck, guys? I mean, you've destroyed my life, you've destroyed my health, and I just deleted 110 videos with profound value, direct time-stamped, my personal record, public record of real-time analysis, and then just the most haphazard, flip it, up, click one button, up, and then what do I do? And then there's nothing because I don't have access to fucking court. This would already be sued. Oh, it never gets better. Life never gets better. Nobody cares. That is what I have for right now. My rights continue to be profoundly and extensively violated to the point of T-word. I am asking for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work to my estate each day that I say this, each day that I cannot produce. Every penny, which I've already monopolized like 5 times over, make it fucking hurt. This is my property. These are profound damages. Every case, every charge, every time, and all I've asked for the entire time is a little bit of money. Regardless, grave bodily harm, nobody cares, property destroyed, life destroyed, we'll never have a career and a family, and nobody cares because life's this big game of compete, and then slam the door shut once you get where you want to go in life. But it's a small world after all, and the law is going to matter at some fucking point. Don't expect it to be in my lifetime, and then it's just going to be lawsuit, criminal charge, lawsuit, criminal charge, you get a charge, you get a charge, you get a charge, and no leniency. Because there's this also overarching kind of mentality of lawsuits where it's like, hey bro, I'm gonna sue you. No you're not, bro, we'll go get a lawyer, we'll play it out in court. And so these petulant little actions cost 10 years of damages. We're gonna make sure people don't think that's a good idea. And we shouldn't have a law system that's structured that allows that in any way, shape, or form right now today. Damage is damage. $10 is $10. $1,200 is $1,200. Intellectual property rights for education for the entire species indefinitely into the futures. Intellectual property rights for the entire species indefinitely into the futures. Can I have a little bit of money to eat? And the answer is still objectively no. The most disgusting shit ever. I continue to document it as much as possible. I live under profound duress that my entire life's research is going to be destroyed. Both the physical copies and the digital footprint have been damaged to the point of profound and explicit crime in the context where I've already given up. And I'm already the victim of profound and extensive crime. No one gives a shit. That's what I have for right now. See you on the next one.